Oh, Icky, what grand adventures you have! I have half a mind to stow away in your knapsack, in order to enjoy the fruits of your travels. We could gallop across the land in search of the elusive, succulent, delicate butternut scrumpet of northern Uzbekistan, or at least gobble up an even baker's dozen of the fabled pickled lamb, the livers of Easter Isle. Oh, Icky, I tell you, old chap, although you chap my hide, I can't hide my envy of your wandering ways. What a ladies' man is he, as we sipped our Turkish mulberry tea, enjoying the chatter of pleasantry. As fate would have it, my old chum, a confidant of the finest order, had yet again graced me with his noble presence, and relinquished presents once more, indeed tales from the days of yore. Icky had hobbled into my lair, with not one but a pair of women from the Orient he had evidently entrapped in his snare. Swanky from head to toe, one named Ping, the other Fong Ho. He had rescued them from a wild equestrian cyclops in northern Tibet. It seems he had stumbled across the cyclops in questions, preparing to relieve the two virgins of their unsoiled lotus petals. Upon seeing this, Icky knew that his gentlemanly ways would not allow such a travesty, for if any were to deflower the virgins, it would be him. Trained in pugilism, the art of boxing, and a crack shot with the sling of yesteryear, Icky proceeded to wallop the behemoth and finish him off with a final stone throw, moving quicker than the arrow of a bow. Henceforth he left victorious with the two mistresses in tow. I then served the whole wild lot, a whole lot of fine pear wine, finger sandwiches and a liverwurst cake, which I couldn't help but to notice delighted Icky the most. Oh, Icky, what a gracious and pleasant manner you have! Oh, chum, I say, all the times, what good times! As I hurriedly threw another log on the blaze, put the kettle on flame, and threw on some respectable breeches, I could hardly believe my good luck. For my most respected pal, an old adventurous chum, had decided to grace my presence yet again. For without prior notification, I spotted Icky coming down the hill, adjacent to my lodge, on what appeared to be a rather worn-in unicycle. He strolled in, proud as a peacock, and why wouldn't he be? For he was a noble breed. If you were to remark, that Icky sure is the greatest, one thing you most assuredly could count on is that nobody in their right mind would sue you for slander. I figured a fresh jar of preserved boysenberries and a small stinkweed cake may be just the thing to encourage this princely man to regale once again what was most certainly to be a tale of great mischief and delight. After scarfing down the better of the cake and gobbling up half the preserves, as if he were a yeti, come down from on high to feast on the succulent berries, he smacked my servant Hilda's ass, referred to her as a healthy tart of a wench, and began. For evidently Icky had run off with the Moosehead Circus, a big tent show with 20 steam train cars, an elephant, a bearded lady, and an announcer from Thailand who referred to himself simply as Shit Ho. Icky had been showing one of the clowns how to perfect the quadruple mid-air somersault without a net, a feat which only 5 people in the world had ever accomplished, 4 of which being members of the famed Flying Wallenda family, for Icky had a knack for all things often too much out of reach for the common gent. But then again, Icky is not very common. As the clown twirled through the air, with an air of tomfoolery, Icky thought, the gent is a mess, with not more but less of the flying ability that only I possess. For it is a great stress to fly through the air without being a mess. The clown fell to his death, and Icky chuckled aloud with a belly laugh. Ha! Said Icky. He ought to keep his day job. Oh, too late now. Not much work for a dead clown. Oh my! All's well that ends well, I suppose. At hearing Icky's remark, the clown's girlfriend, who also happened to be the show's bearded lady, came running towards Icky with a sword from the sword swallower, intent on impaling my dear friend. Icky then took off on a unicycle. It wasn't fear of the bearded lady's sword skills, for as we all know, Icky is a world-class fencer. But you see, Icky is a very moral man, and his noble character would just not allow him to run the bereaved woman through, beard or no beard. Not to mention, Icky had always found a woman with hair to be rather erotic. Oh, Icky, no harm, no fall. You have made my basket belly roll yet again, and for that I shall ever be grateful. Icky, I ask once again, is there anything you can't do? What good times, friend, what good times. My belly basket rolled as Icky stumbled through my door yet again, for as we well know, he is an associate of my dearest regard, and one heck of a wordsmith when it comes to regaling experiences of his. He was dressed in army camo, an unusual dress code for a man, more commonly accustomed to being adorned with fine lace and silk from the Orient, which looked to be woven and loomed by the hand of God himself, from up on high. As he gobbled up the candy corn and Cornish hen I had steered his way, he explained to me that this was an attempt to make the headless horseman of Sleepy Hollow in the township of Terrytown, NY, less likely to see him and dispel with his head. Let's face it, if you had your choice of heads, would your first pick not be that of Icky? A little factoid, which Mr. Igor was very aware. He had been travelling about the area in an attempt to find the perfect pumpkin to make his jack-o'-lantern, for he was a fine carver of the orange vegetable and had caused quite a stir the previous year at the state fair with his jack-o'-lantern, depicting a pair of rabbits intertwined in relations. He had been travelling the area on a yak named Stew, for this beast was friend not foe. Icky and the yak would lay naked together for hours under the branches of the weeping willow tree, just enjoying each other's company. After foraging for wild pumpkin under a juniper bush, one eve by candlelight, Icky heard the snorting of the undead horse belonging to none other than the Headless Horseman. When faced with this rather alarming sight, Icky decided to charge the dreadful spirit, for nobody sneaks up on Icky, ghoul or not. The horseman fought with the fury of 10 men, but in the end was shamed as Icky had triumphed yet again, using a Brazilian martial arts dance technique of capoeira, for which Icky is extremely versed. Icky yelled after the disgraced goblin, "The only head you will be getting tonight is that from your whore of a mother back in hell, you incestuous little stinky headless goblin boy. Be off with you!" Oh, Icky, you are a man of mystery. Without you, simply put, the world would seem oh so weary, flat and stale.